Welcome to Plain Talk, a podcast dedicated to bringing useful marketing, advertising, and public relations tips and information to small and micro businesses, nonprofits, and beyond. Hosted by the team at In Plain Sight Marketing. We're excited you're here.
Welcome to Plain Talk about marketing. Today it is Renee Plain, our founder, CEO, and face of the business, with me, Kathy Taylor, our Chief Marketing Officer. And we have just had the best time reminiscing over our past 10 years in business. And we got to laughing about some of the wild, weird, woolly, and wonderful things that we've done. So we wanted to share some of those stories. We know that every practitioner, every agency, every marketer in the world has stories. And probably if you sat us all down in a room with a cocktail, we'd talk your ears off. So we promise not to talk your ears off. There's no cocktails here, but we do want to share some of our fun stories.
Just coffee.
So Renee, you started this business and you got probably the coolest client in town right off the bat. Who was that?
Well, my favorite client, so he actually came in, maybe 3 years in, I think. But he's by far, he will always remain my favorite client. And that was Mayor Bob. He was our past mayor of Carson City. And he just had some funny stories. And he would make awkward situations on purpose to make funny stories. But he was a hoot. I mean, and Kathy, you got to work with him too.
Yeah, but he usually made me cry. I got to go to things like Veterans Day ceremonies and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial opening and things like that. And I swear that you sent me on those because you knew I was going to cry and you got to keep the fun stories for yourself.
That's not true. I sent you because you would tell the best story out of those things. And yeah, maybe because I didn't want to cry.
What was your favorite one? Tell me, there's a story about a celebrity waiter experience.
Oh, yeah. So there's a nonprofit organization here in Carson City and Douglas County called FISH, which is Friends in Service Helping. And they provide shelters and clothes and hand up to our homeless community. And then they also have different ways that they fundraise for their organization. And so he was asked to be a celebrity waiter, and which means that he would have to sell tickets for his table, and then he would have to be the waiter for his table. Well, the first year he did it, he decided that he didn't actually want to be the waiter. So he sat down and ate dinner with all of us. And then at the time, Lieutenant Governor of Nevada, which was Brian Krolicki, ended up picking up his slack. So he served his table and then he served Bob's table too. And Bob just kind of sat there and hung out and told him how the food was. And that was that.
Pretty good when you can get the Lieutenant Governor to fill in for the mayor.
Right? Yeah.
Bob just had that panache. He just had that thing.
He really did. He really did. And then the next time he did it, we were coming up with different ways because you're supposed to try and get tips. So it's, which waiter gets the most tips wins the competition, right? And gets bragging rights. So I decided we were going to try something called Get a Kiss from the Mayor, where I gave him a bag of Hershey Kisses and he was going to sell them for tips. But Bob had an insane sweet tooth. And Bob also decided that he wasn't going to sell the kisses because he was going to eat them. So at the end of the night, when I asked him to empty his apron for the tips so we could count them out, all he had was empty kisses foils because he ate the kisses. So he was a fun client because he was like a mischievous adolescent, even though he was in his 70s. When I worked with him, and he would tell the best stories, and he had this like little mischievous side to him. Like I remember going to an event with him and we were passing by a billboard that was for an adult shop. And he sat there and asked me what it was and made me explain what this store was to him when he knew full out what it was. And it was the most awkward conversation to have with my client, who was, I think he was 72 at the time, about what this store was. And so, but that was Bob. So,
The best thing about Bob was that he would take that and use it, right? When we would,
oh, yeah.
anytime we asked him to show up, whether it was at the senior center to talk to seniors or at the Boys and Girls Club to meet with the kids or open a new business in town, whatever it was we asked of him, he always did it because that was his big thing, was to connect with
Right.
his constituents.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was fun. He was, I think I don't know that we will ever have a client that replaces who he was in my heart ever.
No, he was indeed special. So one of the things that Bob did for us was appear in a superhero movie wearing a mask.
Right.
We
That's
built a
right.
movie for Meals on Wheels, and it was about this superhero team of people that came together in the dark, dark, early morning hours of dawn to prepare meals for hundreds of homebound senior citizens. And Bob made a special appearance in our video, signing a check, writing the first check and donations, and he had a cape and a mask on. That was probably one of the funnest video projects I've ever worked on because the senior center staff got totally into character, and we had this giant of a man who was our lead superhero, and he smoothed his mask on, and he just, oh my gosh, that was so much fun making that movie.
Right. Yeah, I didn't participate in that day, but the video itself was so fun. I just remember laughing and when Bob rips the check out of his book, and just the whole video was so much fun.
It was fun. It won several awards too, which was even more fun.
Yeah.
But moving on from Bob, we've had such a fun array of clients. One of the ones that sticks in my mind that we've worked with are the East Fork Professional Firefighters Association.
Yes.
We've done some really cool stuff with them.
Yes. Yeah. So gosh, about this time last year, there was a building that was being torn down. Somebody had purchased, it was an old casino hotel in South Lake Tahoe, and it was purchased, and they were getting ready to tear it down. So usually when they start tearing stuff down, they invite the firefighters in to come and mess it up and do some training and stuff like that. And so they were part of a regional training opportunity with their latest academy. And they got to go up to Tahoe, and they called me. It was the day before Thanksgiving last year. And they called me like the day before that and said, hey, can you come up and take some photos and videos for us? And I was like, yeah. And so I got to do some really cool stuff. Like I got to go in the smoke room where they simulated a smoky room on fire. And I got to take a look through their TIC, which is their thermal camera that they use to keep track of people when they can't see. So the room was dark and full of smoke. And so I got to get like, I had a firefighter with me, and he was showing me the TIC, and I was recording it. And then they were doing drills to break into a room. And then they asked me how I was with heights. And I got to climb up to the top of the building on a firefighter ladder truck, which was terrifying, but I couldn't tell the firefighters that I was terrified because I had all these like brand new in the academy puppies watching me. And so I put on the fire jacket and I went up the ladder. It was really cool. I was so glad I did it. I was a little nervous, especially coming down. Going up was easier than coming down, but yeah, we did it.
It's fun. Having been a volunteer firefighter, I remember the burn room. I remember the ladders. I remember all of those things you did. It's probably among the coolest things I know I've ever done. So I'm really excited that you got to do that with our clients.
Yeah, same. Oh, and I know we're talking about firefighters, but I was thinking of crazy things where I was really nervous. And going back to Bob for a second, during his last State of the City, we decided that he had a plane with his law partner, they shared a plane together. And we decided for his, we were going to make a video intro for his State of the City speech. And so we went out to our local airport, and he like kind of taxied around and then came out of the plane and did like a little video. But we also got to go up in this 4-seater plane and take video of Carson City and overlooking and the lake and everything. And it was a really windy day, and I kept asking, like, are we sure? Are we sure this is the day to be doing this? Oh, yeah, it's fine. And that ride was so bumpy. I was green for like 4 days afterwards. And as soon as we got down, his law partner, who was the one flying us, was like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have gone up today. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So, the things we do to get the shot, right? And to
Oh
get the
man,
video.
for sure.
Yeah.
For
Climbing
sure.
ladders, 4-seater airplanes on windy days.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
thanks. I'm glad you got to do one too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, so some of the other crazy stuff that we've done, we've been heavily involved with the ranching community over the last 3 years.
Yes.
And my husband and I went to a dinner, a Cattlemen's Association dinner in Auburn, California, with our clients, and we stayed overnight. And the next day we went to their ranch to check in, say hello. And before I knew it, I found myself hanging from the gates to keep the cattle in the chute so they could be branded and immunized. And that was quite a workout, hanging from the gate. Those cows put up quite a fight. So eventually my husband took over that piece, and I ended up lice spraying, which was even more fun. And then they found out that I didn't have much of a reach for that, so they put me back on the gate. But I have learned so much about the rigors of ranching, from pregnancy checking 400 cattle and separating out the ones that were and the ones that weren't for whatever was happening with their business. And taking photos in the muck of the new baby piggies in their little pen. And they're cute as they can be, but whew, do they smell.
They stink.
Yeah.
They stink.
Yeah. But they're so cute. And then the baby lambs,
oh, that's right.
Yeah. They had lambs and piggies. And then we saw that one day, the first day we went out to capture video, boy, did we get video of a brand new calf being born.
That's right. I know. I remember looking over at the mama and asking Karen, like, is it supposed to look like that? Because there were legs poking out of her backside. And yeah. And so that mama cow went on to have that baby. So that was fun. That was day one.
Yeah, day one. And it's just been literally wild and woolly since.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I got the opportunity to go out and take some photo and video on a really foggy day when they were separating out the mamas and the babies. So the babies were ready to be weaned and shipped off to their next destination. And so our clients went and helped another rancher with sorting their cattle and everything. And it was super cool, but it was really loud as they're separating out, so everyone's crying, the mamas and the babies. But I think that's like really the only time that there's a lot of noise with cows is when they're separating the babies from the mamas.
Yeah.
And then I just remember like my camera bag, I had set it down like away from where we were, but when the cows were running through, because it had just rained and it was super foggy and we had some snow on the ground too, and they like came around the corner, and I just got sprayed with mud and whatever else was in the mud. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, I got to go one day. They were one of the pastures was being rented out, and so the client's clients, I guess, who were renting the pasture were unloading some cattle, and they noticed one had an abscess.
Oh.
And they had to lance it and take care of it. And that was really an education right there. But it brings home how hard these people work. There's
Right.
never a holiday. There's never a day off. Everybody has
Right.
to eat. Everybody has to have water. The grass needs to grow. And I have really gained an appreciation for how hard our ranchers work to put food on our
Right.
tables.
Right. Yeah. 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 Well, and bringing food to our tables, like some of the other cool things that we've gotten to do is working with students, right? So when
Yeah.
we worked with one of our local nonprofits that serves kids in the area, you helped coordinate like cooking classes with some of our best chefs in the area,
Oh
which
man,
was super
top
cool.
chefs. Yeah, they're top chefs in our area. And they were so generous and gracious and
Yeah.
entertaining to the kids. And the kids got to eat amazing food. And we're given recipes by these
Mm-hmm.
chefs. And that was a really fun thing. And it turned into then fundraising dinners with the
Right.
full on Argentinian barbecue where you've got the lamb splayed out on this
That's
cool
right.
structure.
We worked with the local high school
Yeah.
with their welding department or their welding class to create the apparatus that we use to cook the lambs. And I think we had, was it just lamb that year? And then we did fish, but they created like a grill and a Argentinian spit type roasting
Yeah, this
thing.
big rack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like the chefs were in heaven and they wanted to keep it, but we told them, no, sorry, you can't. It's a donation to this
Yeah.
organization we work with. But they were jealous about this thing that these kids built in their welding class. And I think
Yeah.
that's among some of the most rewarding stuff that we've done was working with those career and technical education classes, CTE classes.
Yeah.
And we ran
Yeah.
the gamut, right? From you were a shark in the Shark Tanks for years
Yeah.
as the kids pitched their business plans.
Yeah. We got one of our best interns from doing that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing that. And then I remember the health sciences when they would go through their EMT lessons, where we'd go in and we'd get to take video and photos of them like backboarding other students and triaging and stuff like that. And then there was one time where they went out to the local, like the regional fire training academy, and they were doing extrication drills with the
That was a
firefighters.
cool day.
I got to take my oldest son with me, and he was just in awe, like watching them use the jaws of life to open the cars up. And it was and Care Flight came, so we got to see the helicopter, and
Yeah, that was a fun
really
day.
cool.
That was a really fun day. I think we got a front page placement out of that one.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that I really love about working with CTE was I was in with the graphic design teacher one day about another project, and I was poking around her classroom because there were so many cool things there. They had a 3D printer.
Sherry did a ton of really cool stuff.
She did. And I ran across this 3D model of the Carson City Mint, and I said, what is this? This is amazing. And she told me that they had built it, and the Mint just happened to be celebrating their 75th anniversary that year. So you and I worked together to get that into a display, and it now lives at the Nevada State Museum.
Yeah, and it was really cool. We did, I think the governor came to that. Yep. And we had we created a whole event out of it, which was really neat.
Yeah, we had some great media coverage and the governor.
Yeah. Working with the museums and the schools and bringing all those different partnerships together was really cool.
Oh, and remember that giant cake? The culinary kids got involved, and they made this enormous cake. I don't even know how it was huge.
It was gigantic. Yeah.
And the floral students did flowers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We brought in a whole bunch of partnerships.
Yeah. That was really fun.
I think was really fun.
Some of those things where you kind of create the event, you create the need to have an event. We created news that day, and it was really great news about the kids making that model, and they spent days and days and days building that thing in their class.
Which is why when you saw it sitting there in the corner, you're like, no. There has to be something more for this.
yeah, we have to present this to somebody. And that was
Yeah.
really a cool day.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the most fun things that we have done is when the Boys and Girls Club has done their annual event with Mike Tice, their Mike Tice fundraiser.
Oh, the golf tournament.
The golf tournament is so much
Yes.
fun. I mean, it's a whole weekend long. It was a busy, busy weekend. But it was so much fun riding around in the golf carts and taking pictures of everyone. Everyone was in such a good mood and happy to see us. And I mean, I still keep in touch with some of the guys from New York who come down every year.
We
And
do too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's really fun. Like, just we get to do some really fun stuff.
Well, and Mike Tice, we should probably say who Mike Tice is.
Oh yeah. So Mike Tice was a former coach for the Raiders, and he had some other
The
teams.
Vikings.
I just remember the Raiders because
Yeah, because I know.
East Bay girl before they moved to Nevada.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there would be players, former players and active players would come to this tournament. It was a big thing.
It
You know,
was.
and we talk about how fun all of this stuff was. And all of it was silly things like doing a grand opening for the new animal shelter, and you all of 8 months pregnant, crawling through the kennels to get photos. And then,
I was very curious.
taking ride-alongs with our heating and air conditioning client so that we understood the sales process from the ground up. So sitting with the dispatcher and then going on the calls with the techs, and going to take photos and videos at homeless events for homeless people that would give them the opportunity to have medical care, dental care for their pets, and really
job interviews and things like that. Yeah,
really understanding the world we live in, I think, has been for me one of the biggest joys of what we do, is understanding the world we live in, but then being able to take those messages for the firefighters. We were doing Freedom of Information Acts to understand why there was so much forced overtime and how can we get safe staffing levels and a mental health for our clients, mental health care for our clients. And then with the mayor helping to do the Complete Streets project, which made our downtown walkable and bikeable. And
oh my gosh, do you remember what a controversy that was?
Oh,
now
the
everybody
opposition.
really loves it.
Yeah, the opposition was terrible. And now you can't keep people away. They're out, walking and biking at all hours of the day and night. And it's so fun. And then even just with our pottery class, our pottery studio that we work with, the premier supplier of pottery supplies in all of Northern Nevada. There's a little plug. But we got to go and throw clay bowls and do those kinds of things. And now we're introducing them to another client who teaches classes for kids. This one happens to be a paleontologist. So they're working on doing a dinosaur dig out of clay with the kids to learn from a paleontologist. I mean, those are things that take imagination. It takes getting to know how to connect people and then making it happen, making news and making it happen.
Right. Well, and, even just this month, I got to interview a new doctor at one of our local hospitals. That's our client. And his story is amazing. I mean, he came here from India and has had this long, robust career. In fact, in the 1970s, he was telling me that he was a founding member of one of the first bone marrow transplant teams at Spirit of Hope Hospital in Southern California. Like, it's just amazing when you take some extra time to talk to people and really want to hear their story and understand who they are as a human being and what they're offering to our little corner of the world and beyond. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just the opportunity to, one, get to participate in the storytelling and the events and the things that we do, but two, being able to share those stories with the world is really exciting. And I think one of the most rewarding pieces of what we do.
Oh, yeah.
because there's so many untapped stories that just need to be told, right? Like we talk about our tagline of we tell big stories and we want to tell yours. It's true. Even big stories for small businesses, everyone has a story. Everyone has a big story that should be told, and uncovering them and getting ourselves into messy, uncomfortable, weird places in order to tell the stories is probably the most fun.
Well,
Truly.
you're right. I just wrapped a story for Breast Cancer Awareness Month with someone who, in the course of her day, wouldn't necessarily think that what she went through was a big story, but it really was. She ended up revealing that she was adopted, and so she didn't know her medical history, and so she went through this whole
Oh my goodness.
I know, I've got goosebumps just thinking about it. She went through this whole detective story trying to find her biological family so she could understand what was happening to her, and to be able to tell people, know your family history. Like, these are important messages that come out of these stories that you think, well,
Right.
it's just me, it's just my story, but this is so important. And I think, being able to work in the medical community has been fantastic. And how many of our friends and family have we dragged into videos and and photo promos?
Uh-huh.
Like my husband in the in the infusion room,
Yeah. Dr.
smiling,
Sean and patient Sean all in the same
smiling up
role.
at the nurses, having a wonderful time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right. The storytelling is really what we do best. And I think being able to pull a thread and follow it through to find that story is really what I think what we're all about.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Well, I know we could talk forever
I know.
about all the different stories. I mean, I thought of like several more as we were sitting here talking through. So we'll save those for another day. But gosh, it's fun going down memory lane, and just to throw it out there, we've actually been in business for 11 years. So we've passed that 10-year threshold, and now we're in the next decade solidly.
So we'll have a whole bunch of new stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's our goal for our 20th anniversary is to have told 20,000 stories for
20,000
small
stories.
businesses.
Yeah. And I know we're well over halfway there already.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we've told some amazing stories. We've worked with some amazing clients, both locally and on a national level. We're expanding into some international PR opportunities, which is exciting, and looking at other states and whatnot. So it's exciting what we have, and the stories that we get to tell is really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for traveling down memory lane with me.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
I know. What did we say it was? It was the weird, the wild, woolly, and wonderful stories that we've had the opportunity to participate in.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, if you have a story and you would like us to pull that thread and tell it for you, definitely reach out to us. You can check us out on our website and get in contact with us there. It's ipsmllc.com. And we know you have a big story and we'd love to help you tell it. Awesome. Thanks, Kathy.
Yeah, thanks, Renee.
Thanks for listening to Plain Talk. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share with your colleagues and peers. To get show notes and listen to more episodes, visit our website at ipsmllc.com/category/podcasts.